All right, Bimang, today's Thursday. It is December 8th. Welcome to the Dog Walk presented by Barstool Sports. We got a nice little blue-collar interview today. We are joined by Oscar from Chicago Tattoo and Piercing Company. Oscar, you are a body piercer.
Correct.
Correct. So I've had a tattoo guy on here before. Never had a body piercer, so I'm interested to get into the body piercing game. Thank you for coming in.
Sure thing.
Yeah, so we'll get into it all. I guess what I usually start into, most of them I started with it. How do you like being a body piercer?
It's interesting. It can be a lot of fun. The unfortunate part of like any job is like some days you're just at work. But you got to kind of keep it together.
Yeah. What do you mean by that?
I mean, you can't just like let everybody know that you're like not having the best day.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Like,
so you got to have the waiter face.
Okay, because you are putting needles into people's bodies, but at the same time, it is very much a customer service type position.
It is 100% the experience.
Yes.
So like it's not about you as the practitioner. It's not about the studio. It's about like this vulnerable person who you just met, 7 minutes ago, and they're trusting you.
Yeah. That's true. That's a good way to put it. Well, we're going to get into all of it. Before we do get into it, though, I do want to talk about the exclusive ticketing partner of Barstool Sports. It's the Game Time app. Give the gift of an awesome experience this holiday season with Game Time. If you're nervous that your present won't arrive in time or simply forget the holiday, shop with the Game Time app. Game Time tickets get delivered to your phone and inbox instantly. Game Time has the best tickets, and you'll get awesome prices on them. If you haven't given Game Time a shot yet, now is the time. We've been using Game Time all year. We went to the Niners-Bears game, went to the Elton John concert, went to went to the Cubs Sox game. We just went to a bunch of different games. And I know Chief went to the Notre Dame Boston College game. They've been helping us out with tickets all year, so make sure you're checking them out. All you have to do is download the Game Time app, go to the account tab to create a login, redeem code DOGWALK for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Download Game Time. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed, and they will satisfy all your tickets needs. Great app, guys. Make sure you're checking them out for your last minute holiday gifts, and no one can go wrong with some nice tickets for Christmas. All right, Oscar. So how'd you get into the piercing game?
The joke is I was in the right place at the right time. But ultimately, I was kind of in the right place at the right time. I was hanging out while a friend of mine was apprenticing to tattoo, and I was just trying to get tattooed. I was 19. I had literally nowhere to be. I had a car, so like I would pick him up. I'd take him to work. I'd be like, "You're gonna tattoo me today?" He'd be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna tattoo you today." And eventually, somewhere along the way, like the owner or the manager would be like, "Hey, this guy's gonna do me a solid. Tattoo him for me." So I would just like sit there all day at a shop, and this is like pre-cell phone. Yeah. So I'm just like,
around what year?
So I'm just like hanging out in the lobby, just like, and then I was just like, and then it was always gonna be like, yeah, well, when I get off work, me and some of the guys are gonna hang out, and we're gonna have some drinks and whatever. And I was like, well, that's my reward for sitting around all day, I guess. So like when it came down to close, I would be like, does anybody need help with anything, throwing something out, sweeping, mopping? Like, can I help you get out of here faster? Because I want to leave too. And I think it was a combination of like the owner seeing that and knowing that I could like get homeboy to the shop too. They kind of hired me as like their janitor. I worked 5 days a week, just like touching up paint, like, crawling around the rafters and dusting things, and, just like cleaning the place. And
Gotcha.
then little by little, it was like, you want to learn how to make tattoo needles? They pay you 50 cents a needle. And I was like, yeah, whatever. It's a job.
Yeah.
This place is cool. I'll work here. And then after a while of that, he's like, the owner was just like, you want to learn how to tattoo? I'm like, no.
Why didn't you want to learn how to tattoo?
Because I can't draw for fucking shit.
Okay.
And the whole thing. I'm sorry if I'm not.
No, you could swear.
Okay,
please. We encourage you to say whatever you want.
I can't draw at all, and like it was funny because he was like, I can't either. In like the back of my mind, I was like, we know.
Yeah.
So it was just like, I'm not gonna be a good tattooist.
Yeah.
And
But you just liked like the culture and you liked getting tattooed, so you were like, hey, this kind of seems like a good vibe.
So
for
I'm
me.
still trying to get tattooed for free.
Okay,
And but like at the same time, like I had been pierced a couple times. I was like, I had a book called Modern Primitives. It was pretty much like the entryway for me and a bunch of my friends being kids to like be like, what is this?
Yeah.
It's a fantastic book. So like there was a lot of information in that. And like so hanging out after work, drinking with the piercer, I'd be like, oh, and so blah, 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 dropping facts. And he'd be like, that's really cool. And I'd be like, you didn't read this book? I was like, how are you a piercer? You didn't read this book? Again, I'm 19. What the hell do I know? So I assumed everybody read this book. You're a piercer. You've read the book.
Yeah.
You know who these names are. You know who these people are. Paul King coming through on tour from the Gauntlet. Things like that. So, and he was just like, huh, cool. And I was just like, all right. Either way, long story short. Then the owner was like, you want to learn how to pierce? I'm like, yeah, dude, I'd learn how to pierce. And he just like calls dude up to his office. He's like, yeah, you want to teach him how to pierce? Like on the spot. Like I was just like, say yes. And then dude was like, hell yeah, I'll teach you how to pierce. I'm like,
Okay.
Cool.
And that was it. So
Yeah.
you basically go from being the equivalence of a mall rat is to a tattoo / piercing shop rat to working there. Essentially.
That breaks it pretty easily. Easily, yeah. There's a lot of nuance to it, I think. But
yeah.
I mean, I have my apprentice, and I've been approached by plenty of people. It's like, yo, you should teach me how to pierce. I'm like, it's that easy. No.
Well, why is that though?
Because you don't know who you're teaching and why. So,
and like you won't just teach anyone?
because you want this to be a sound investment.
Oh, okay. Go into that.
So you're pretty much taking somebody on. You're gonna like give them, all this information and let them loose to work on other people. I mean, you want to make sure they're not a maniac, but mostly you want to make sure that they're gonna like be able to stick through the process.
Okay.
Because the process doesn't have a set amount of time. It takes as long as it has to take. Mm-hmm. So if somebody's really quick, they're there all the time. They're getting everything, like. They're just like a natural. They understand.
Yeah.
This could be 6 months. This could be a year. Somebody who has a very limited amount of time who can come in like once or twice a week for their apprenticeship, it's going to take a lot longer because you can't. Not everybody has the privilege that I had to not have another job.
Okay.
I went in there completely like unemployed. Okay. Ended up being employed there. And then my apprenticeship took place there.
Okay.
Whereas like my current apprentice has a full-time job. Granted, we're like literally in the same building, but their job is paramount to like the rest of the time, like as a studio manager and running the front counter. It's like, so I can't have them in the room the whole time. They have to be up front greeting clients, ringing people up, answering emails, answering phones, getting rinse cups for the tattooists, all that stuff.
Okay.
So
that's interesting. I think most the listeners would be that would be news to them, that it is like a rigorous thing where you want to make sure you're putting a good investment into someone who will make sure you go through with this thing because it's a commitment.
Yeah, you also want to make sure it's somebody who's a relative people person. And I say relative only because, like, can you turn it on when you need to, get the job done, and then you can go back and mope?
Yeah.
Because, like, you're having a fight with your partner or something like that. Or, but, like, yeah, so, like, my apprentice, was a bartender, was a server. So, obviously, like, great at working with people. But, like, I just saw, like, the way they just, like, instantly were able to take care of things up front.
Yeah.
Just like could talk to people, could kind of like we're not seeing eye to eye, but I could move you in a positive way towards where I need you to be. It's like, that's it.
Yeah.
There's that. And then like once they expressed that they wanted to learn how to pierce, I was just like, yeah, I think you'd be great.
But what's it take though? What's the qualifications? Like if I'm like, hey, Oscar, I'm interested in being a piercer. What's like the first couple things I need to do? If you see in me that I'm committed, I'm a people person, I'll be there, and you think I have it in me to be in it for the long term.
Persistence.
Okay.
Yeah. So if somebody just like walks up to, because like this happened in the early 2000s, a door would open, a teenager would stick their head in and be like, "Yo, you taking apprentices?" And we'd be like, "No," and they'd be like, "You suck," and they would bail. Where's your follow through?
Yeah.
Annoy me. Annoy me. You know, so like, cause like ultimately, like it wouldn't be like, oh, you asked, you asked 3 times. Here's your apprenticeship.
Yeah.
You would put them into a role like, doing like front counter work or something like that, and see how they do answering the same question over and over again.
Yeah.
Because you have to be able to handle that with some sort of grace. Like, does it hurt? Of course it hurts, but like you can't just like roll your eyes at everybody.
Yeah. But as far as the apprenticeship itself, like what goes into it? Like, what are the qualifications? Like, is this like I assume there's like guidelines you like need to pass through the state and whatnot, or what is there? You just smile. Maybe there's not.
What do you need to work in this industry in the state of Illinois?
Yeah.
You need to have like literally, it could be a piece of white Xerox paper that has your phone number, your address, a copy of your photo ID, and a bloodborne pathogens course.
Okay. So a bloodborne pathogens course, that's like to prove that you're using clean needles and shit, I assume.
The bloodborne pathogens course, it's an OSHA standard.
Okay.
And it's a requirement for anybody who may in their normal job duty, I'm trying to remember the exact wording, who may in their normal everyday job duties expect to come into contact with blood or other possibly infectious materials.
Okay.
So, flight attendants would probably be a good one. People in our industry,
yes.
People who work
hospitals,
things like that, personal trainers. So there's 2 different ways you could do it. You could go by the OSHA standard, where it's a 2 to 3 hour course taught by somebody who has knowledge in your specific field, in person. That way they could answer any questions you might have. Or you can go online, answer 10 true or false questions, and get it right away for $10.
And that's all it is.
That's literally all it is.
Now, do you feel like that is enough? Personally, like, be honest.
No, because it doesn't really teach you asepsis. And it doesn't teach you how to like actually do the work.
Yeah, I mean, you could fuck someone up with a bad needle.
You could, but like, I mean, you'd have to try pretty hard, to be honest.
Really? How's that?
I mean, you got to be way off.
Yeah.
I mean, like, everybody knows a horror story. There's all the parent stories of like, you know what I mean? Like, this person got this pierced and then they got paralyzed, blah, blah, blah. It's been 26 years. Seen none of it.
Tell me a horror story that you've heard.
Pick a near cartilage piercing. Any one of them. And that could paralyze the side of your face. If you
that
pierce
can happen? No.
Never seen it.
But
Never
that's like
seen it.
So that's like one of those urban legends. It's like a Marilyn Manson took out 2 ribs kind of deal?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it's like
Was
never
it 2
been,
ribs? I heard it was 1.
I heard 2.
Oh, okay.
I think 2 was the
we went to
official.
different middle schools.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think we did. But yeah, so that's just always been like a.
There's always going to be urban legend. There's always going to be myth. Surrounding things. Can a tongue bleed pretty heavily due to a botch piercing? Yes.
Yeah.
Has anybody bled to death? I don't know, and I can't say yes or no.
Okay.
But I've seen heavy bleeding from a couple different things, and you just got to be prepared for that, and you got to handle that with grace. Like, we pierced your earlobe, not a drop of blood. We pierced your producer's earlobe, and I need you to go in that drawer and get me some more gauze. But we're gonna do that calmly.
Is there like a riskier spot? Like if someone comes in and you're like, hey, all right, like we need to really like, hey, a punch in the ear, obviously that's the most common, right? I assume.
It's funny you use the word punch because there are areas that you can like literally punch a core out of.
Okay.
Using the punches is illegal in the state of Illinois. They're medical devices, but like, let's say people have done this, but you can hit some larger vein work that can cause some serious bleeding.
Okay. But you know what I mean? Like an ear piercing, just a standard lobe piercing. Obviously, I assume is the most common type of piercing across the nation, across maybe the world.
We're gonna say yeah.
Yeah. Like, is there someone comes in like what's the spot where it's like, all right, we need to like this is a more in depth one. We need to break out the spotlight, make sure we're nice and whatever.
Large gauge ear cartilage work.
Large gauge ear cartilage
Yeah,
work.
stuff that would involve like the punch.
Okay, so
stuff
that's
like that.
top of the ear.
That would be the top of the ear or in the conch, which is the bowl of the ear.
Okay, so that's people could gauge the top of the ear.
Yes.
Really?
Stretching cartilage is very uncomfortable.
Okay.
Usually as members of the industry, where like again you'll take like a larger gauge, like a biopsy punch. It's like a surgical hole cutter.
Yeah.
On a handle, and you just like cut that section out and you put a plug in it.
Yeah. The ear's weird, huh? Like, yeah, what's...
Ears are weird, yeah. Once you get in the cartilage, which for most people is like about the third earlobe piercing, it's not lobe anymore, it's ear cartilage.
Yeah.
It feels nice and thin, but there's cartilage there.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of circulation in there, and because you have to go through skin and supportive tissue, we're at about a year to heal.
Okay. And the gauges, we just talked about the gauges. You have some, it seems, right?
Yeah, I take them out to sleep and sometimes forget to put them in.
Okay. There's a point of no return, right?
For most people.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's hard to really say what that is.
Okay, so you'll never be able to get those back, correct?
No, but like I kind of made my decision.
Okay.
You could always go see a surgeon. They could like remove the excess and stitch everything and clean everything up, which a lot of people did. I mean, the scene kids like blew their ears out real big, real fast, and most of them have had all that removed now.
Gotcha. So you're saying there's surgeons that could just chop the lobe and just reconstruct it and just like kind of shave it down?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. So if you ever like kind of want to change it up.
Because sometimes people, especially back then, like people would stretch their ears so fast, there would be too much tension on the tissue that it would snap or break. So then there would be like a little lobster claw of ear. Yeah, just remove what's necessary, smooth it out.
Yeah. What do you do the most of besides the ear?
A lot of ear cartilage work, a lot of nostrils.
Yeah, a lot of nostrils the most. What nostrils. like the bull ring, kind of what you have? Is
the nostril will be the side.
Okay.
So yeah, like ear cartilage and nostrils, like
gotcha.
Like they're neck and neck following earlobes, and then septums are super popular still. Okay. Still, I think it was in the teens. I was working at a studio, and in the studio was doing 50 to 60 piercings a day. Mm-hmm. There would be 2 piercers on staff, and like it was just like it was septums and like 3 ear cartilage piercings, like, and it was like I just don't want to. I can't make it past this 3rd hour. It's been like too hectic because like obviously a septum is the center of your face. It has to be done perfectly. And then anytime you're matching angles and distances on like 3 piercings of some sort, like you got to like really concentrate on that. So it's just like a lot of anxiety to get it all done right the first try, because nobody deserves to get pierced a second time.
Yeah.
You know, my job is to do it right, do it the first time, make it as easy as possible. And we're hoping for the words that everybody wants to say, which is like, that wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I don't think of that, because I've had my ears pierced. Mm-hmm. But I don't think of that, because that's like when you go and you get a shot and the nurse can't find a vein and you got to do it the second time. It's like, you could tell that they're like, shit, they feel bad that they got to do it twice. How often do you have to do that?
It happens. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's not like a great percentage of the time.
Yeah.
But like sometimes like you mark everything as best you can. You do everything as best you can. Some areas like septums are very stretchy.
Yeah.
Because like it's not the cartilage, it's not the skin, it's a thin little membrane in there. It's a very thin window, and that's kind of bouncy.
Okay.
So sometimes you could brace as best you can. You run your sharp, you look at it, and you're just like, it's just off that hair. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you just have to you just have to redo it, because like you you have to. Is it better to send it off just slightly? Like, is it something I notice, or is it something everybody else is going to see right away?
Yeah.
So you got to kind of do that one. So which one is worse?
Yeah.
Do I know it's slightly off, and is my ego just slightly bruised, or is it very off, and like I can't send out bad work?
Yeah. No, I mean, that's good, though. I don't even think, I didn't even realize how much that could be a factor. So
You have to be ethical.
That's interesting.
You have to be ethical. You can't do things that aren't going to work.
Yeah. What piercing is the hardest to take care of after the fact?
Your standard on the side of the ear cartilage piercing.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that? Just a lot of
because
infections?
everybody tosses and turns and sleeps on it, and you cannot sleep on a healing wound.
Oh, okay.
And that's where we see bumps, redness, occasionally some pretty heavy scarring.
Okay.
And, and then, I mean, here's the fun thing about body piercing. There's nothing you can apply to it to make it better. You cannot treat this medically.
There hasn't been a breakthrough like the tattoo. What was it? Put those what are those little wax papers they put on the tattoo? Remember that? That was like a revolutionary where it's like, yeah, you could like, don't worry about putting the shit on because you could just put this on and you don't have to worry about it.
The occlusive bandages.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
like,
and that's great because like that's a wound that could scab and heal.
Yeah.
Versus a piercing, like it can't scab and heal because there's a foreign object in it. Mm-hmm. That's gonna move.
Interesting. I would have thought you would have said tongue or like the navel or something because the navel is so, because
they move a lot. So those are also at about a year to heal.
And it's prone to more infection because there's a shit in belly buttons, right?
No. They get irritated. Big issue with navels, they stay wet. So that's where people will get like kind of like a very wet looking bump. Mm-hmm. It looks kind of wet. It looks kind of like a blood blister. But like all that is you just haven't been drying it.
What's the most common infection?
I don't know.
You don't know? Just in general, across piercings?
We don't see infections as often as everybody assumes they have an infection.
Okay.
So every time somebody has a problematic piercing, you're like, my piercing got infected. But the piercing isn't infected. It's just beat up. So all we have to do is we just have to kind of figure out what is irritating this and remove the irritant. So once again, ear cartilage, you need to stop sleeping on it. Bottom line.
Gotcha.
You need to stop sleeping on it. You just need to stop obsessing on it, and putting things on it that aren't going to help. Because that's another huge one. You go on the internet, it's like piercing bump, crush aspirin, mix salt and water, apply tea tree oil, toothpaste, whatever. Like do all these things to it when the reality is like you're just gonna like give yourself a chemical burn now.
Yeah.
On top of what's going on. So just like
work.
Yeah.
That's not gonna work. Well, I do have this other product I'm sure you could have used on people. It's called Manscaped, Oscar. Manscaped, 'tis the season for clean balls. From stocking stuffers to white elephants, Manscaped's products are at the top of everyone's wish list. Help all the men in your life go from eggnog to nice hog this December by going to manscaped.com and using code DOGWALK for 20% off plus free shipping. Manscaped is a one-stop shop for all your holiday needs. They have the perfect gift in the Platinum Package 4.0 plus loads of little presents. For perfect stocking stuffers. It includes the Lawnmower 4.0, the Weed Whacker, 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner, body wash, deodorant, crop preserver, crop reviver, plus the travel bag and Manscaped boxers. Another great gift is a Shears 2.0, their full kit for nail care with scissors, clippers, tweezers, and a file for the traveling man. There's also the new Preserve Cologne that brings a light, breezy, woodsy feel and gives that fresh tree scent even after the holidays are over. Manscaped's great, everyone. I honestly cannot recommend it enough. Stop using the same razor for your face and your balls. I know some of you guys are using that. That's disgusting. Don't do it. Get a Manscaped. And also the nose trimmers are great too. So get 20% off and free shipping with code DOGWALK at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use code DOGWALK, Manscaped, for a perfect gift that will be the holidays' biggest hit. Okay, Oscar, that leads me to my next question. How many Prince Alberts have you done? How many times have you pierced a penis?
Are we talking about just Prince Albert's or the variety of other ones?
Everything. Let's get into the private part piercings.
It's really hard to put a number on it. Because I started piercing in the late 90s. So it was a lot of like enthusiasts and brand new enthusiasts. So like you would see like the same person a lot, like little by little, just like collecting got to catch them all, as it seemed. But now you don't really see as much. And I think that's partly because there's a lot of other options to get pierced at.
Yeah.
But like, not a lot of piercers are trained in genital work these days.
But you are.
Yeah.
Do you like doing them? Is it just part of the job? Is it like, really, dude? Be honest.
So being honest, it is part of the job. It is 100% part of the job. Yeah. You're going to work on genitals.
Yeah.
If you're trained on working on genitals. And like, so again, we're going to talk about ethics.
Yeah.
Right. You're not going to do something you don't know how to do. And you're going to worry about like people getting things done that aren't great. So like, I see things come in from other studios where it's like, that shouldn't have happened. I'm so sorry. Like things that were done too thin, things that were done too small, things were done very crooked. Jewelry that just gets stuffed into somewhere. And this is on people's genitals.
Yeah.
So I take pride in the fact that like, I know where it should go. I know how it should be. I know what size it should be. And I'm going to make sure that it's done right.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's part of the job. When it comes down to it, it doesn't matter where you're working. You're making sure your marks line up, and it's gonna be a healthy piercing. Be it a navel, be it a nostril, be it somebody's penis.
Is Prince Albert? That's through the shaft or that's through the balls?
So the Prince Albert, it enters in the front of the urethra and just comes out the membrane at the bottom.
Phew.
Because the urethra runs along the underside of the penis. So it's just very thin skin.
Now, are they like screaming when this happens?
You don't get a lot of screaming.
No.
No. If somebody makes noise, it is just because the entire thing is kind of terrifying to them. Mm-hmm. Because it is.
And how many would you say you've done since the 90s? Hundreds?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll go with hundreds.
What about vagina piercings?
There's a lot of work we do on the vulva. Actually, like those might be a little more common than the
Prince Alberts
than the male genital work.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's also going to depend on where you're at.
Yeah.
I mean, like I worked in Oklahoma City for 2 years, and I don't know if it was because of the fact that there was like nowhere else really to go of quality in the state, that people came from all over the state. They came over from Arkansas, they came down from Kansas, they came up from Texas to Oklahoma City to get pierced. Again, we were doing 50 to 60 piercings a day. And like, I did a lot of genitals there, and I saw a lot of like extreme genital work there.
Really?
Yeah.
When you say extreme genital work, what does that mean?
Have you ever heard of a sub-incision?
I have not.
Okay. So you know how like, so again, picture your penis in your mind. The Prince Albert goes in the front, in the urethra,
Yep.
and comes out just behind the glands on the bottom, right? Mm-hmm. So take that distance and just cut that open.
Okay.
And these were self-done sub-incisions.
Oh.
And sometimes they went a little further than that. I had a gentleman come over from Arkansas who said he was looking for a 5/8 or a 3/4 inch piece of jewelry. And the way he's like, I'm looking for a 5/8 or 3/4 inch piece of jewelry. And this is like a big handlebar mustache, turkey platter sized belt buckle. This is a cowboy, a country guy,
Yeah.
right? Older fellow too, right? And the way he said what he needed, I was just like, okay, we're going to have to go in the back and we're going to have to take a look at this.
Yeah.
So I was like thinking 5/8, 3/4 diameter ring. Like, what gauge does this need to be? Conservative 8 gauge, we're getting a little crazy, 00, which is like 3 millimeter or 9. Right. And no, sure enough, the bottom was split. He had that sub-incision. And then through the top, he had a 5/8 inch hole. So whatever the rest of the jewelry he wanted, I was like, I can't help you with this. But here's an email. Contact them. They'll be able to make you whatever you need. I was like, let me just get you some measurements. That way you could hand this off.
That's interesting.
So that way he could like discuss what he wanted from them, get whatever made, and then like we wouldn't have to middleman it really.
Yeah.
Because like there's no need for us to be in the middle of that.
Yeah.
You know, he's in Arkansas, we're in Oklahoma. We're gonna have him drive back to fit things and buy things.
Yeah, there's no need. So that kind of goes into my to my next question. What
more peepees?
Well, we could get into that too. But have you like what's the what's the bar? Have you ever turned down a piercing request?
Yeah, yeah. Something's not going to work.
Besides that,
so navel piercings. About 50% of the requests don't have the anatomy suitable.
Is that like an innie outie thing?
It starts there.
Okay.
And then it starts with, does it close or not when you sit?
Oh, really?
And then it goes into, does it flatten out when you lay down?
Oh.
So we take the 3 main positions that you live your life in.
Gotcha.
Standing, sitting, laying down. And then we need to see, like, at what point is there going to be enough stress on this to where it won't allow it to heal? Mm-hmm. Because if it doesn't heal, they're just going to have, like, a pretty ugly scar. Mm-hmm. And nobody deserves that. So if we have a way of kind of, like, seeing like, will this work for you or not? And if it won't, it's best not to have somebody spend a bunch of money and time just to have a scar.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, now I remember what my other question was when it came to the Prince Albert was, do you have to be erect when or what's the protocol with that?
The shorter answer is no. The funnier answer is, would you be able to maintain one?
If I was in the middle of a piercing tattoo shop,
somebody's coming at you with a sharp.
With a sharp,
would you be able to stay erect?
No, probably not.
Yeah, no, and no. Yeah, no. It's
I don't know. Maybe they're playing some Bonnie Rotten in the background or something.
There's no. It doesn't. It's not going to work for most people. Most people because there used to be a protocol like in the 90s to measure for certain stuff. It would be like, okay, here's a caliper, here's some magazines, because those were a thing back then. Go into the room and then take this measurement. And like just that alone, people wouldn't be able to pull it off.
Yeah.
So like you'd have to go with like plan B, which is just like kind of like, press it down, measure that, and then add a little bit of space just for the sake of safety.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, like when you put jewelry into somebody, you can't measure somebody flaccid and expect that to fit at erect. So you have to kind of like either get the erect measurement and then add space for swelling, or you
That's
squish
kind of a
and
motherfucker
add.
though, because it's a lot of room to play with for some people, right?
It's a lot of room to play with for some people, yeah.
So that's kind of a.
So ultimately, you have to have like a range of things, because like because people can overswell. Some people very famously, I've never had a piercing that I have not overswelled.
Yeah.
So it'd be like, this should be enough room for most normal human beings. And then, 3-4 days later, it's like, I need longer.
Yeah. Is there another strange request besides that cowboy?
Something called a dolphin piercing.
What's that?
That's where you would put the Prince Albert, you put another piercing behind it, and then you just like throw a curved bar through that.
Oh.
So it's kind of like a stitch. Yeah, I had a request for one of those, and what he wanted was just like a very short threaded barbell put in it. And I was like, that's bananas. What if this comes unscrewed and that ball that's in your urethra goes backwards?
It's no bueno.
No.
It's no good. What about like a guy who just goes too far, like the past of the point of no return? Like it's not really your place, right? To be like, hey man, are you sure? But then I don't know. Do you get to like an ethical point? Like, have you ever seen the movie Rat Race?
Yes.
You remember? You know who I'm talking about? The guy who like can't talk because he's so pierced. I don't know how.
Oh, like he had just gotten his tongue pierced. And
Yeah,
he
and
was
then his like lips are like he can't
Yeah.
talk. Like he's so pierced up.
So that's the thing when you pierce a tongue,
that
like there is some pretty like excessive swelling. We're gonna call it, to where like people will have a lisp, people will speak strangely. That's definitely a thing that happens. It only lasts a couple days. But you know, a movie's 90 minutes, so that makes sense.
Yeah. You know, because he's like, I think he had like, I don't know, but that's probably not even a thing. Like his lips were like pierced shut almost, so it was definitely.
There's people who have pretty large collections of things. Be it, you know, it'll be like a lot of ear work, or it'll be like a lot of oral work, or like, I mean, like there's 5 piercings in my nose, you know, which like might be a lot for one small space.
Yeah.
But it's the line will be drawn is like if you have too many things that can't heal properly. Like is the healing function compromised because you have 5 or 6 piercings, and like they're all gonna like heal very slowly and problematically.
Yeah.
So like for most of us, like we won't do more than 3 at a time.
That's it.
Especially if we're working if we're working in like a left ear, we're gonna leave it at 3.
Gotta take it
We're
slow.
gonna heal that, because like it's already a lot of work, and then if you just add more, it just takes the body longer to heal.
Yeah. Do you look down on like the corporatized places like Claire's?
I used to.
Why?
Because we were doing the right thing. We're piercing properly. We're piercing safely. We're piercing with safe materials. We're doing all these, you know what I mean? We're doing the right thing. They're not. Their training is a 20-minute video. They can't sterilize and they don't sterilize any of their equipment. You know, there's no training for asepsis. And then at a certain point, I just got older, and I was just like, they don't affect me.
Yeah.
They don't affect what I do. Just like if some place was to open, like, you know, 3/4 of a mile down the street from us.
Yeah.
Will that affect our business? Possibly. But is what they're doing really affecting me day to day? No.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is there a cheaper place? Always.
Yeah.
Yes. Are we one of the more expensive places in Chicago? Yes, we are. Is our jewelry quality higher than most? Yes. You know, we use implant grade materials. Everything's hand polished. All the gems are set. They're not glued in. So like, you know, will I pierce your navel with a piece that'll cost you like close to $100? That's just for the jewelry. Yes. Can you get something that looks similar for $6? Yes. Is it the same thing? No.
That's how much it is to pierce a belly button nowadays? $100?
That's the jewelry.
That's just the jewelry.
That's the jewelry. The for service is 40.
40, so like 140. What about a tongue? What's like a tongue going for nowadays?
12 gauge barbells are about 40. Service again is 40. With tax, 87, 86, whatever the Chicago tax is on the jewelry, not on the service.
Yeah. What if I got a listener who wants to hop in there? Oscar, I want to get that Prince Albert. I've been thinking about how much. What are they looking at?
I believe that's a $60 service fee, and depending on the jewelry that we're picking out, will probably be about the same price.
Same price. Okay.
Yeah, there's options for jewelry, for some things, for most things. We have a lot of gemstones. We have a lot of solid gold.
So it just depends. Yeah, it depends how high you want to go.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to pierce your nostril, again, the service fee, the jewelry will start at about $35, but like, you know, we have $300-$400 pieces.
Yeah, that's interesting business, man.
It is.
So
there was a saying that I picked up from the Jim Rose Circus Sideshow a long time ago, which is every day is a circus day.
But what about like I guess one of my last questions here, like people walk in and is it ever just kind of like what about like hygiene? Is it ever just kind of gross?
You kind of, it's got to be super noticeable.
Okay.
It's got to be super noticeable. You don't notice all the time. Like, I'm in everybody's nostril.
Yeah.
And people are always like, oh my God, I probably should have blown my nose. I'm sorry if there's boogers. And I'm not even looking at that. I'm not looking for that.
Yeah.
Like, jewelry's never covered in mucus. Hardly ever. You know, like I just go in. I wipe off what I need to wipe off. I remove what I need to remove. I change what I change. We trouble. Yeah, it's not that big a deal. You know, it's just like, you know, like everybody wants to ask about genitals. You know what I mean? Because like, you know, it's genitals. But like,
Yeah, that's probably the first thing people ask you, right?
Again, like, well, I mean, we did.
Yeah.
But it's just you're just marking skin and making sure the dots line up and everything's going to be done right the first time.
Yeah.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I would say really the main thing I took away from this is that you have to take one online blood course, and that's really all you have to do. And then you just need someone to train you. That's pretty jarring. That's all you need.
Or you don't need anybody to train you. I mean, you'd be amazed at who's doing this at what level across the city.
I know, right? Well, what do you think about when people say that? Then I guess we'll end with that too. When back in the day, or now when you hear, like, say do you have kids or anything?
No, I don't.
So say if you have kids and it's like, oh, Joey, like he pierced my ear with an apple or whatever, would you be like, you motherfucker, or are you like, it's?
I mean, being that it's my job, I'd be like, what the hell?
Yeah,
you know, it would hurt my feelings that I wasn't asked.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean though? Like,
I mean, yeah. I kind of on a similar story. Like, I visited my niece who was in college, and I'd done a couple piercings on her when she turned 18. But like, I visited her in college, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to use the bathroom, and I saw a bunch of like cheap like mall jewelry in her bathroom, and I was like, what the fuck is this? It was like, how dare you? I was like, I'm going to call my brother. What's wrong with you? So there's two different ways to look at it. Like you want to pierce yourself, right?
Yeah.
You want to pierce yourself. You want to have fun, play with your body, go nuts. You want to pierce the producer, we're going to talk. That's not right.
Because it's not your body.
It's not your body.
Yeah.
You want to hurt yourself. I mean, that's our entire childhood, is hurting yourself. You know.
What if it's vice versa? You know, a punch for a punch.
I mean, were you guys drinking when you did this?
Can you take someone who's drinking? Is that like a law or no?
There's no laws about it. Yeah. I mean, there's a whole so anybody inebriated shouldn't be signing a contract, which there's release forms for everything.
For sure.
But like, man, drunk people are annoying.
Oh yeah.
And I don't care if you're fall down drunk or if you had 2 glasses of wine and you and your dinner party just decided to stop by the piercing shop. You're annoying.
Totally.
You're so annoying.
At least you don't got to deal with them as long as the tattoo artists do.
No.
That's a positive.
No, that's a positive. But like, yeah, I mean, like a lot of times you hope like that the people at the front counter are going to catch the fact that they were drinking. But a lot of times the people at the front counter, like they catch all the worst of people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like sometimes they're just like, I'm not doing it. You can stand up, just fill out the paperwork, the piercing. I'd rather get yelled at by the piercer than by some other random stranger.
Yeah.
You know? Whereas I'd be like, what are you doing? This person's drunk. And they'll be like,
yeah.
And I'm just like, all right, let's.
Yeah. Well, there you go, folks. If I got anything from this, definitely make sure you go to someone who knows what they're doing.
There's ways to verify people. There's the Association of Professional Piercers.
All right, this is good information. Association of Professional Piercers.
The Association of Professional Piercers. It's a voluntary membership organization. That's their aim is to provide education and health standards for modern body piercing.
Okay.
So
good to know.
So to be a member, you have a minimum standard for safety for jewelry quality, studio setup, and personal training.
Gotcha.
So,
okay. And you're a member?
I'm a member.
Perfect.
Yeah. I've been a member for I don't know how long has it been, since 2007 or something
All
like
right.
that.
There we go.
Yeah. Safepiercing.org is their website,
Go check that out.
and they have a member locator
Awesome.
on the website. And even if it's something like if you're in an area where like then your nearest piercer is going to be 100 miles away, you can at least contact them and be like, oh, you know what? My homie over here at this studio is doing everything right. He just cannot be a member because of like some small environmental thing that the boss does not want to change.
Yeah.
Because good luck getting a studio owner to change anything.
Yeah. Right. I hear you. Well, go check that out. What was that website one more time?
Safepiercing.org.
And then, Oscar, you are at Chicago Tattoo and Piercing Company on Belmont, right? What's the address?
1017 West Belmont.
1017 West Belmont. People could drop in, or is it better if they call and make an appointment?
You can book appointments on the website, chicagotattoo.com. We are taking limited walk-ins again.
Okay, cool. And then anything else you want to get out there?
Not much that I could think of.
Thank you so much for doing this, man.
Thank you.
Maybe I'll hop in there for content one day. I'll get the earrings back in for the people.
We can get you a set of solid gold nipple rings.
Oh, all right. Maybe I won't do the
Be
earrings.
the baller on the beach.
I'll do those instead. I don't know if anyone wants to see that, but fuck.
You don't have to look.
If you're offering.
I'll take care of it for you.
All right, fuck. Let's do it.
All
Cold
right.
nipple rings. Thank you, Oscar. Appreciate it, man. Thank you everybody for listening as well. That's it. We will see you guys on Monday for the draft.